I paid my eye doctor thousands of dollars, only for him to tell me to go home and get ready to go blind. He said there was zero hope because of my age. He was lying. Yesterday, my 7-year-old blind grandson cured my eyes for free. My name is Melody. I am 78 years old. My eye doctor took thousands of my dollars, told me I had macular degeneration, and said my eyes were simply worn out from getting old. He told me to buy his expensive eye drops and get used to the dark. He was completely wrong. Yesterday, I read the small print on my pill bottles without glasses, all because of my blind grandson. Leo, if you are over 60, or if you are watching your parents struggle, you need to listen to my story. Your eyes are not failing just because you are getting old. They are failing because your life has gone quiet and your brain has decided you do not need them anymore. You are probably wondering how a kid who has never seen a single color in his life could cure my eyes. I will tell you the exact steps in a minute, and it will not cost you any money, but first, you need to understand the quiet, lonely trap that was slowly turning off my eyes, because you might be falling into it right now. Every single day, millions of older people look out their windows, and everything just looks blurry. They look at the street, the trees, and the people passing by, and everything is just a smudge. They sigh, shake their heads, and think, well, that is just what happens when you get old. But my eyes did not start failing because of my age. They started failing because my life went completely silent. On my living room wall, there is a row of cheap wooden picture frames. I bought them at a local store years ago. For 5 years, those frames just sat there, collecting dust. Those frames hold my whole life. There is a picture of my kids graduating. There is a picture of my husband on the beach, covered in sand. And there are photos of our Sunday dinners.
Back then,
I used my eyes every single second to run the house. I watched the stove so the soup would not burn. I looked under the couch for lost shoes. I stared at my husband's face, memorizing his smile when he laughed. My eyes had a job from morning until night. And then, the house went completely silent. My husband died. His chair in the corner of the room sat empty. Then the kids grew up and moved away to different states. Their visits stopped. They only called on holidays, quick, polite calls to say they were busy with their own lives. I sat in my chair for hours, just staring at those dusty frames on the wall. The photos started to fade. The bright colors turned into a dull gray. And that was when my eyes started to fail. I did not need to cook for anyone, so I did not need to watch the stove. I did not need to look for lost shoes. I did not need to look at anyone's face, because no one was sitting across from me. When you spend your days staring at empty walls, your brain does some simple math. It says, if there is nothing left to look at, Why waste the energy keeping the eyes working? But here is the scariest part. Once my brain made that choice, my vision started failing fast. I spent thousands on eye doctors, only to get a terrifying verdict. Let me tell you the exact words the doctor said. He sat me down in a dark room, put me in front of a big metal machine, and kept changing the lenses, click after click. Is it better here or here? I could not tell. It all looked like a grey smudge. He told me I had macular degeneration. He said there was no cure. He wrote me a prescription for eye drops that cost way too much, and every time I used them, they burned. I asked if there was anything else we could do. He just looked at me with a pitying smile and said, "At your age, Melody, we can only manage it. You have to understand that your eyes are just old. Manage it, not fix it. Manage it." What he meant was, he was going to watch me go blind and just keep writing down the numbers. I sat in my car in the driveway and cried. I could not even see my own front door clearly. I felt like my life was over, like I was supposed to sit in a dark house and wait to go blind. I was sitting there in my car, waiting to go blind. But then my daughter brought my grandson Leo over to stay with me, and he asked me one simple question that changed everything. Here is what he asked. Leo was born blind. One day, his mom had an emergency and asked if I could watch him for a few hours. I was terrified. I could barely see my own hands, and now I had to take care of a blind child.
At first,
We just sat at the kitchen table. I felt sorry for both of us, a grandmother going blind and a grandson who was already blind. It felt like we were just waiting in the dark together, but Leo did not want my pity. He ran his fingers over the wooden table, getting used to my house. Then he reached out his small hands, touched my face, and found my eyes. He looked straight at me with his blind eyes and asked, "Grandma Melody, what does the sunset look like today?" I looked out my kitchen window.
For years,
That window had been nothing but a grey blur. I had not looked at a sunset in a long time, but Leo was waiting. His hands were still on my cheeks, waiting for me to tell him what the world looked like. I closed my eyes, and for the first time in years, I actually tried to see, not with my eyes, but with my memory. "Well, Leo," I said, "the sky is really bright orange today. It looks like the hot wood at the bottom of a campfire." I told him about the clouds. I said they were dark purple at the bottom, but the tops were glowing bright yellow. I told him the sun was setting behind the maple tree in the yard. "If you could see the leaves right now," I told him, "the sunlight is hitting them and making them look like gold." I described the sky turning into a deep, heavy blue, like a blanket slowly covering the neighborhood. I talked for 10 minutes. I described everything I could remember about what a sunset really looks like. When I stopped, Leo was completely quiet. Then he laughed. "I see it." "Grandma," he said, "I can see it because you told me." After he left that night, I looked at the old wooden frames on my wall. They did not seem as blurry anymore, and the photos inside them looked like they had a little color again. That moment stopped my blindness in its tracks. But how does talking to your grandson actually help your eyes? The physical part is simple. You can start it tomorrow. Let me show you how. After that day, my daughter started bringing Leo over twice a week.
At first,
I worried about keeping him safe, but over time, I realized we were a team. I became his eyes, and he became my reason to see. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we sat at the kitchen table. Leo would hold my hand and ask me questions about the world. "Grandma, what color is the grass today?" "Grandma, what does a ladybug look like?" Because of Leo, I had to start paying attention again. I could not just sit and let my eyes fade. I had to go outside and look at the flowers, just so I could come back and describe them to him. I had to look at the clouds to tell him if rain was coming. I had to notice the puddles in the driveway and describe how they reflected the sky. At lunch, I described everything on his plate. The carrots are bright orange. Leo, like the sun we talked about. The peas are bright green, like the grass. He listened so closely, his face lighting up with every word. We laughed, we talked, and we built a whole world together out of my descriptions. My eyes were not broken anymore. They had a purpose. They were Leo's eyes. And that was when my vision started coming back. The physical part of what I did is simple, and you can do it too. First, I stopped looking at my phone and tablet in the dark before bed. That blue light is terrible for your eyes, especially as you get older. Second, every morning, I massage around my eyes. I place my fingers on the bone under my eyebrows and rub in circles about 30 times. It only takes 30 seconds, and it helps get the blood flowing. Third, I changed what I ate. I started eating more spinach, kale, and fish. And finally, I turned on the lights. I stopped sitting in a dark house just to save money. Your eyes need light to work, but those things only helped my physical eyes. What really saved my vision was giving my eyes a reason to work again. Having a reason to get up matters just as much as any medicine. When you feel useful, your body works better. Our eyes do not stop working just because we get old. They stop working when we stop caring about tomorrow. Yesterday, I read the tiny print on my medicine bottle without any trouble. I looked at the photos on my wall and saw my family's faces clearly. Then I went into the kitchen to prepare food for when Leo comes over today. This morning, I woke up, put my feet on the floor, did my eye exercises, and made my coffee. I am ready to see the world today, because my grandson is waiting for me to tell him what it looks like. Your body is not failing you. It is just waiting for a reason to see